welcome to all of our school officials, parents, guardians, and community members that are meeting with us here tonight. I'm Erin Stepik with the Michigan Parent Alliance for Safe Schools. Today, we're so pleased to welcome Advocate for Child Internet Safety, Alisha Meneely, to share her insights and expertise with us. In an era where our children are growing up immersed in the digital world, ensuring their safety in this virtual landscape has become an increasingly critical responsibility. The rapid evolution of technology has brought with it unparalleled opportunities for learning and connection, but it has also introduced new challenges and risks, particularly when it comes to our children's online interactions. Alisha Meneely comes to us as a representative of the Protect My Child Registry, a vital initiative from the Michigan Secretary of State. It's committed to safeguarding the well-being of our youngest generation in the digital age. With her experience and understanding of the ever-changing dynamics of the online realm, Alisha brings an important perspective that resonates with both parents and educators alike. And that is, what we're trying to do here at MiPASS is, keep these kids safe in their school and at home. After her main presentation, we will have an opportunity for Alisha to answer your questions. So please put them in the chat and our moderators will voice them for us all during the Q&A. So now we'd like to warmly welcome Alisha Meneely.
Thank you, Erin. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I know it's hard to do this on a beautiful summer night, so I really appreciate those that have hopped on. We'll definitely try and keep this to an hour, but if you have a lot of questions, I can stay on as long as possible, as long as you guys want. Again, my name is Alisha Meneely, and I am the Director of Government and Community Relations for the Michigan Child Protection Registry. Basically, my job is I travel the state talking about the registry and internet safety. I do a lot of these internet safety trainings for parents. And a lot of it also includes some human trafficking stuff, just so that you guys are aware. So tonight, basically, I've got 4 parts. I'm going to talk a little bit about the registry. I'm going to talk about internet safety kind of as a whole. And I want to give you parents just a toolbox so that you can take tonight a broad advice and things that you can do on a day-to-day basis to help keep your kids safe on the internet, because they are on the internet. That is a fact. Whether they're at school or at home or on the bus, they're constantly using the internet and social media. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the most popular apps that are right now, which changes all the time, and kind of how our kids are using them, how they're kind of some of the sneaky things that some of the apps have and what you can do about that. What I'm not going to talk about is I have a lot of parents that ask me, how much screen time should my child have? Or when is the right age for a child to get a cell phone? That is not the kind of things that I talk about, because I feel like every family and especially every child is so different. For example, I have a 14-year-old son, and we got him an Android phone when he was 12. He is an extremely responsible kid. He is not interested in social media. It was really just for, making sure that we're picking him up from practice, or, if he needs to get a hold of us from school. He does a lot of sports stuff on his phone. Now, I also have a 9-year-old daughter, and that's a whole different story. I don't know if I will ever trust her with an actual full cell phone. We'll have to see about that. So, it depends on the family and the child, in my opinion. So let's get started. There we go. So the Michigan Child Protection Registry, it's actually been around since 2005, which is kind of crazy. I still don't feel like enough parents and schools know about this registry. It is under our Secretary of State's office, so it's an actual registry. It's a real thing. And what it does is, you as a parent, you would go, or a guardian, you would go in and you would register you and your child's email, cell phone number, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, and Twitch information. And they will stop receiving anything in these inboxes that a minor shouldn't be receiving in the first place. So it'll stop any pornography ads, online gambling, which has just become huge here in the state of Michigan, vaping, which is huge with our kids, alcohol, and any other kind of illegal drugs like marijuana, which is legal here in the state of Michigan. All those advertisements will stop coming into their inboxes, including their spam. Which is huge because kids know where the bad stuff ends up, and that's in the spam. So this will completely block these advertisements. What happens is you and your family, you're registered for 3 years, and the person that registered your family after 3 years, you'll receive an email asking if you want to continue being on the registry. And, by then your kids could be 21, 20, 2 years old by then or whatever. And so you can re-up or not. It's your choice. The fact of the matter is these adult marketing companies are going after our kids. And because our kids put everything out on social media, their cell phone numbers, their email address, it's very easy to get people's usernames or, Instagram handles. They swipe all that and then sell that information to these marketing companies. That's how that happens. And no matter what, I fight the tobacco industry a lot on this, and they swear up and down that they don't target our kids, but we know that that is not true. These are some examples of what, and I'm sorry for some of the stuff on here. It's kind of graphic and the words, obviously, and stuff like that. But these are actual texts and emails that have been received by people that I know. The one in the middle, the black one, actually came in a couple years ago. It was the first week of summer, and my neighbor called me and was like, "Are you texting my son? Because that is my name, Alisha. And that it's even spelled the way I spell it, which is unique." And I said, "What are you talking about?" Well, her 9-year-old son received this on their phone. And then the next thing you know, my phone was just blowing up. It was so weird. I had friends and family across the state of Michigan again going, "I got this text message today." And thankfully that 9-year-old did not click on that. But so I had them send it to me. I clicked on that, and hundreds of naked women just popped up on my screen within seconds. So again, this is the kind of stuff that this registry will stop. So now we're going to get into just some broad basics of internet safety and what you can do to keep your kids safe at home, and just things to think about that you might not have thought about before. And it can be kind of confusing. So I'm going to try and go slow because there's 3 different levels in which our kids can find bad things on the internet. We have the network level, which is your internet, the device level, whether it's an iPad or cell phone, and then the app level, which is all the apps that are on our phone. And all of these, the network, device, and app level, all have, well, not all the apps, but some apps, but all these levels, you can put parental controls into your home. The first one, the network level, is I'm talking about your router, and that's usually that black or white box that you have somewhere in an office or under a kid's bed, like that's where mine is. You can actually put parental controls on there, which will block websites. You can, depending on what kind of router it is, you can make sure that you can have the internet stop at certain times, like at 8 o'clock at night, so that the kids can't, get on YouTube that late at night. What I would do is I would Google what kind of router you have and see what kind of parental controls is on yours. Now, if you want more parental controls than what yours already have, then I would definitely suggest purchasing Bark Home or Circle. Why this is so important is because you are going to have people coming into your home with devices that probably do not have the same rules at their home that you do. Babysitters, friends, family, and you want to make sure that when they're here when they're at your home on their devices, that they cannot go to certain websites that you don't want your kids seeing. So that is really important. Bark Home is really fantastic. Bark Home is for your router, and then you can also get Bark for your device, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But that can like monitor what music your kids listen to, what sites they can and can't go to. And if they do try and get in on some of this stuff, or they hear something that they shouldn't, you will be alerted through an email. Circle doesn't alert you, but it still has all those parental controls. So then the device level. So, you know, a lot of parents ask me when I do these, are you going to show us how to put parental controls on our phone? I would love to do that, but the fact of the matter is there's so many devices out there and so many versions, whether you have your phone's 5 years old or 6 months old, that would take me months. So what I suggest to every parent is Google what device you have and just say, whatever. So I have an Android parental controls, and it is so easy. You can just go and click, and they are very good at going step by step with you how to set parental controls on your phone. So like I said, I have an Android. My biggest piece of advice is if you're going to be giving your child a cell phone, make sure it's the exact same phone that you have. It will make life a lot easier. So when I gave my son his cell phone, I got him the exact same phone. And we use the Google Family link. It's free, but that's where all of the parental controls are for an Android. And it's great. He can't download an app without my permission. If he wants an app, I get a text message saying, you know, can he download this app? Yes or no. I can control how much time he's on his phone. I can see how much time he spends on each app. I can track what websites he's going to, all of that. It's fantastic. So I definitely, if you want to know how to keep your kids safe at the device level, just Google it. But I always want to tell parents, especially, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but with Christmas coming up in a couple of months, how many parents buy their kids an Xbox and a PlayStation and just say, here you go. I don't know how to use that thing. That is one of the most important things that in my opinion, that you really should look up the parental controls, because obviously these kids are talking to complete strangers and playing with complete strangers on these things and texting them, messaging them. You can stop all of that or put whatever settings you want on those to make sure that, you know, your kid is safe. And then lastly, the app level. So I'm saying Facebook, Instagram. Most apps have some sort of parental control. Some are better than others, which I will get in a little bit. Which is why I really suggest that, especially once your kid becomes a teenager, is to get the Bark app. If they're texting their friends or messaging their friends, and they're using certain words that maybe trigger the app, you'll receive an email right away. I can't tell you how many lives Bark has saved because of kids being suicidal and talking about that maybe to their friends or searching about suicide on the internet. That's how a lot of parents have found out that their kids are in trouble, is because of this app. The only bad thing about Bark, and this is why I have an Android phone and my son has an Android phone, the iPhone does not allow Bark to get into Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. Apple is very big on their privacy, which I completely admire, on their privacy rules, but they don't like third parties coming in and changing up what their customers can and can't see in their phone. So that's unfortunate. That's why I stick to an Android. Another really good parental control app is Life 360, especially if you have a child that is starting to drive. They will show you can see them driving and where they're driving. The app will tell you how fast they're going, and the app will tell you if they are texting and driving. So that's a really good one to have too. Be in the know. I know whenever I say this, I have a lot of parents go, oh, I don't want to do that. But if your kid's on Instagram, I suggest you be on Instagram. If they are on Snapchat, you be on Snapchat. Make sure that you know your kids are friends with you. And that way too, when they come home, you can talk about these apps, or, hey, did you see what was on Instagram today? Did you see what so-and-so went to the lake, or blah, 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 just so they can see that you know what you're talking about too. The other thing I tell parents is our kids are going to see things on their devices that we don't want them to. Not all these parental controls are the dead stop to pornography, to other kinds of videos and articles that we don't want them reading. They are going to see some bad things that we wish they wouldn't. And you want them to be comfortable enough to come to you. So don't panic when they do, because if you do panic, they're not going to come to you. It's the same with anything, going on, especially in a teenager's life. Have a family contract. We have that. It is up on our fridge for devices, and it has everything from, and I signed it, and it has everything from no cell phones at dinner to certain times that a device can't be used. There's a million family contracts on the internet. So just Google cell phone family contract or internet safety family contract, and there'll be tons of examples. The last thing for this toolbox that I want to give you is, no matter if it's a device or an app we're talking about, make sure everything is always set on private. And unfortunately, you have to go through every single app just about and turn it on private and turn off the location. That is kind of a pain, but I think that is a very simple way of keeping your kids safe for free. So this is something I didn't start talking about until probably 2 years ago. Every time I go into a school, this is the first thing I hear about from teachers and principals, and they have literally had it. And I get it, because so much of sexting and a lot of the sextortion that's going on isn't happening on school grounds, or the cyberbullying isn't happening on school grounds. It is happening at home or during sports, but they are the ones that unfortunately are having to deal with it. And I feel terrible for them, because it's really taking up a lot of their time during the day. So sexting has become huge. Sexting is before teen dating. It blows my mind. I talk to a lot of teenagers that are willing to be honest with me. And most that I talk to either have sent a nude picture or has a very close friend that has. And I put sexting into kind of 3 different groups. Relationships sexting. So that means, 2 people that are in a romantic or dating relationship. Friendship sexting. This is something I hear about all the time, and this is usually between a bunch of girls. And a lot of the times this is happening on Instagram, where I would say maybe 5 or 6 girls are sending each other nude pictures of themselves, or very raunchy pictures of themselves, I would say, and be like, hey, how do I look this morning? This actually happened a couple years ago in Rochester Hills School District. There was about 5 or 6 girls that had been doing this for a while within their group, sending pictures. Well, we know how teenage girls are, and that group kind of split apart a little bit over an argument. And someone sent those pictures to someone else, who then sent those pictures to someone else. And the school, they end up counting at least, they think there's more, but at least 70 kids in that school received these pictures. And what happened is, I think like 6 or 7 had to go through the juvenile court process. And then the rest had to take like a rehabilitation program online in regards to sexting and pornography. So I'll get into that in a second. So the third kind of sexting, in my opinion, is predator sexting. And that is when there is somebody, that you don't know online that is trying to get you to send them things, and they'll send you money for these pictures. There's so many cash apps now that predators use. But there's also what's become really big is sextortion. And normally we're talking about teenage girls when we're talking about sexting, and they are usually the victims, and they still are, definitely. I just actually had a close friend a couple months ago who unfortunately did send her boyfriend naked pictures of herself. They broke up. He threatened to send them to family members, her employees, everything. That is sextortion. That is blackmail, and it is against the law. What has really gotten big though, and the FBI here in West Michigan is bombarded with these calls every day, is what's happening to young boys. Usually 14 to 17 years old, usually through Instagram or Snapchat, and they receive a message from a young girl, very pretty young girl. They don't know this person, but they start talking to them and say, hey, you're friends with so-and-so, or I saw your profile picture on your friend's page. You're really hot. I'd like to get to know you better. And they'll do some small talk, but they don't waste their time. And they end up sending the young boys a naked picture of themselves. And then they will ask for a naked picture back. And I can't tell you how many teenage boys just immediately will send a naked picture back to this girl. And then this girl sends back, if you don't send me $300 through this Cash App in 24 hours, I'm going to send this picture of you all over your Facebook, all over your Instagram. And I know of at least 3 in the state of Michigan boys who committed suicide right after these text messages because they didn't know what to do. They were so embarrassed. They didn't have the money. They felt like they couldn't go to their parents. But what is going on is these are not even young girls. These are a bunch of men in some far off country that are 20, 25 of them sitting in a house with computers in front of them, trying to get money from these young boys. So what I've been telling boys especially, if this happens to you, let's say you do send that picture and they start asking for money, immediately stop talking to them, block or delete your account, and call the authorities. Don't worry, they are not, even if you don't send the money, they are not going to send that picture. They don't have time for that. They will move on to their next victim. Do not send them money, because if you do send them money, they are going to ask for more. So please have this, I just had this conversation with my son, because he doesn't have any social media. He's not really into that yet, but a lot of his friends do. And so I wanted him to be aware that if any of his friends come to him because something like this happens, I wanted to make sure he knew what to do and what to say to them. So what a lot of people, a lot of teenagers especially, don't understand is when you are a minor and you send a naked picture of yourself, or if you have a naked picture of a teenager on your phone, you are producing or possessing child pornography. It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship. It doesn't matter if you're friends. It is against the law. And so many teenagers just aren't getting this. Once you send that picture of yourself, you no longer own it. That's what I try and tell teenagers. It is not, you do not own that picture anymore. That picture can go all over the world. It doesn't need your permission. It is not yours. And there's some huge consequences in Michigan. Like you see, up to 20 years if you take the picture. If you pass that picture on, it's 7 years. If you just know you have it on your phone and you just kind of forgot, you can go to jail for 4 years. This is a serious problem. In regards to sextortion, that's even more time. A lot of times in sextortion cases, they say that that's cyberbullying, which is illegal here in the state of Michigan. But if it's a severe case, they do look at it as extortion, and that is a federal offense. So they can get in trouble for even more than that. So now I could spend hours. I mean, I just look at the apps on my phone, hours on what apps are popular right now, what apps our kids are using, how they're using them, what they're hiding, all of that. But I am just going to do, I think I've got like, I don't know, 8 or 9 tonight. This changes constantly. So I'm going to start with, and you're going to be a little surprised, I think, Facebook, because I have kids tell me all the time, oh, nobody's on Facebook anymore. Well, the fact of the matter is, it is still in the top 10 downloaded apps every single day. Also, I do a lot of trafficking, human trafficking work in Kent County, and do a lot of trafficking trainings and go to a lot of trafficking conferences. And Facebook is still the #1 app that I hear traffickers are using. Whenever there's a court case, a federal court case with traffickers, they found their victims online, it was through Facebook. So this is still used by a lot of minors. So I would definitely make sure that your account is private. Again, the location is turned off, and make sure their birthday is correct. This is something that a lot of parents but teenagers know. A lot of apps, the things that you can and can't do depend on your age. So if your birthday isn't correct and you're saying you're older than you are, you will be able to do more on that app than, let's say, if you were 12, 13 years old. So just to explain a little bit on how these traffickers work, traffickers, groomers, predators, whatever you want to call them, 20 years ago, these predators used to hang out in malls, arcades, walk around the streets to find their victims. Now, and when that was happening, they could probably handle 3 or 4 victims at a time. Now, these predators are literally sitting on their couch, grooming and handling dozens of girls and boys at the same time. The internet has made a trafficker's life much easier, unfortunately, but they still work and look for the same thing. One of the anti-pornography company or conferences I went to a couple years ago, there was a guy there that used to work in the porn industry out in LA. He got out of it, and now he travels the country talking about the pornography industry and why it's bad and what he did. He used to hang out in malls, and he said he would look for girls in threes. And the reason he'd look for girls in threes is because, again, teenage girls are not very nice all the time. There's always that one that is feeling left out. And he said, I could tell just by the look on her face which one I was going to target. And that was the girl he went after every time. So now it's kind of the same thing. Traffickers are looking for the exact same thing online. Like I said before, our kids put everything out on the internet. The way they're feeling, if they're having a bad day, if they're feeling ugly, if they hate their parents, if they want to run away, if they don't have any friends, they literally put that out on social media all the time. And that is what these traffickers and other predators are looking for. They are their perfect victim because they are being so honest about their vulnerability. So Twitter, well, it's not called, it's not called Twitter anymore. It's called X, I think, right? I think I'm right on that. So I guess I need to update that. I kind of forgot. Twitter is like a free-for-all. There's porn all over the place. And I'm sure it hasn't gotten any better with the new owner because there's less moderation than there was before. All you have to do is type in hashtag naked girls, hashtag boobs, and you will get all kinds of pornography on Twitter. This is why the App Store rates it at 17. So if your kids are using Twitter, I would make sure that you go into those privacy settings and make sure they're at the strictest level possible. I'm not sure if the parental control settings have changed since Elon Musk. I need to check that out. Actually, as I'm saying this, I'm making a note. I need to see if anything has changed with that. But yeah, Twitter is definitely a free-for-all for some reason. Instagram is definitely, other than TikTok, probably the #1 app that our kids are using. The most dangerous part of Instagram are the DMs. And up until recently, even if you had your account on private, strangers could still direct message you. That now has changed. I have to admit, I'm giving Instagram some kudos because they really are trying to have better parental controls. If I were you, if your kids use Facebook, Instagram, or Messenger, I would go to Meta's Family Center. And that is where now there's all these controls for you to use for those three things. Parents, that way you can see what your kids' settings are at. You can see their contact lists. You can make sure that they aren't receiving messages from strangers, that they're only receiving messages from people that they know. And you can see how much time they are spending on these apps. So Meta is trying. I would definitely look into that. One thing, and especially if you're on Instagram, I have a couple friends that do this. What predators look for on the feed are certain hashtags. Hashtags baby and bath. Hashtags I hate myself. So predators really are looking for certain hashtags. And a lot of my friends who have like newborn babies, 2-year-olds, they take pictures of them in the bath and then they use those hashtags. I would highly recommend not using those hashtags, because that is what a lot of pedophiles look for to look at our children. Lastly, about Instagram. And this is something a lot of the teenagers tell me. Most of them have Finsta accounts. And what a Finsta account is it's a second Instagram account that parents do not know about. And it's usually a smaller group of friends, like maybe 10 or 12 friends. And this is where they share things that they definitely don't want other people to see. Now, the way for a parent to find out whether your kid has a Finsta account is, one, ask them. They'd probably be shocked that you even know what that is. And two, they're usually friends with their Finsta account. So if there's a friend on their contact list that has a really weird name, that could possibly be their Finsta account. Snapchat. My daughter loves using Snapchat, where you can like change your face up on a daily basis and stuff like that. She thinks this is great. That's why I already know I'm in trouble. But this is one of the apps where these fake girls are looking for young boys. Snapchat is just awful. Any app that has disappearing chats or pictures is terrible. But what kids don't understand are those things really don't disappear. Law enforcement can find those pictures and conversations that go away, so they don't go away forever. Snapchat also has a for your eyes only, and that is PIN protected or password protected. I can't remember if it's a PIN or password. And that's where they can save certain conversations or pictures that have been snapped to them that they don't want anybody to see. I highly recommend, if your kids use Snapchat, to make sure the Snap Map is turned off. You can literally find someone down to the car they're in. Snap Map also causes a lot of problems with friends. I have a girlfriend who has a freshman daughter, and she just let her start using Snapchat. And they all have their Snap Map on, so they all know where each other is. Well, the other night, a bunch of her friends lied to her and said that they were all staying home, and she looked at her Snap Map and she saw that all of her friends were at another friend's house, and they obviously didn't want her to come. This causes so much problems and drama with girls. I hear about it all the time, and it's just not safe to have it on, period. They just added some parental controls to Snapchat. It's not great. If you go to the new Family Center option, you can see, you can't see what your kids are saying, so you can't see any of their conversations, but you can see who their friends are and when messages are sent, but that's about it. Obviously, TikTok. Oh my gosh, I don't have TikTok, but I did download it when it first came out, and it definitely is the most addictive app ever released. I love watching cooking videos, and so I went down that rabbit hole, and the next thing I know, it was like 2 a.m. and I have watched cooking videos for hours and hours and was starving. So I get the rabbit hole these kids go down, and they don't even realize there's anything else happening around them. It's not good for your brain. I got to tell you that. Porn really isn't an issue on TikTok. Now there are provocative videos, there's terrible language, the challenges that we all hear about in the news that these kids come up with. Those are probably the scariest things in regards to this app. Obviously, as you know, Congress is trying to ban TikTok. I believe it is banned. I cannot remember which state, but there is one state where they did ban TikTok. Because they do. TikTok takes all of our information off our phone, everything, your contact names, anyone else's cell phone number, email addresses. They are taking all of that. They do have some parental controls. It's called parent pairing, and you can kind of control their privacy and what they are searching and who they are contacting. Tumblr, this isn't huge, but I know some teenagers that use Tumblr. Actually, you don't even need an account if you want to use Tumblr. Tumblr is kind of like a blog and Twitter at the same time. You can post anything you want. Your account is never private. There's a lot of terrible things on Tumblr. I would recommend definitely kids not be on Tumblr. It does have a direct messaging, and anybody can contact them through direct message because there is no privacy button. This one always has just blown my mind. Uber, this came out a couple years ago. It literally is Tinder for teens. You swipe left, you swipe right. The only the only people that can have Yubo they limit it to ages 13 and 17. So it literally is for teenagers. However, as I said to you before, a lot of people lie about their birthday. So 11 and 10-year-old may say that they're 14, or a 40-year-old may say that they're 16. This happens a lot on this app. A lot of kids use it just for fun. But this is where they can definitely meet all kinds of strange people. This next one, there's a ton of these. I'm just mentioning one. This is an example. These are called chat roulette apps, and there's all kinds of them. I think there's last time I saw a picture of all of them, there was like 50 of them. And it's pretty much you just get into the app and a wheel turns and you are randomly put into a room, video chatting with someone from anywhere around the world. Obviously, nudity is a huge problem. This is probably a predator's playground. There's tons of these. So I want to make sure that you can Google chat roulette apps and you'll get a whole list of them. So if your kid is a gamer, and this is one of the ones that one of the apps that we just recently added to the registry, Twitch is, and my son uses Twitch because my son does like gaming. So this is one app that he does have that I let him use. And it's pretty tame. You do definitely need to put in your right birth date, which I make him do. And it's pretty much gamers watching other gamers play games, which I don't understand, other than I think he learns how to play games better, but I don't understand watching someone play a game. But he likes it. There isn't any like pornography or anything like that. It is live, so it's kind of there is some swearing, and there is chat and direct messaging is available, which I have turned off. He does not use. If your kid is older or really, really into gaming, Discord is huge. And it's a lot. It's an app to definitely be worried about. Over 100 million monthly users are signed up for Discord on a monthly basis. You definitely need to make sure your child's birthday is correct on this, because it will decide which chat groups you can go into. So there's all these chat rooms in Discord, depending on the game or common themes. And there's just a lot of inappropriate content. And Discord is used by a ton of child pornographers. They use Discord in chat rooms to switch pictures. So this is just one that I'm definitely not a fan of for teenagers. And lastly, there's a ton of these apps. If your child has 2 calculators on their device, I can almost guarantee you one is not a calculator. There's a lot of these apps. They're called vault apps, and they look like very innocent apps. Like this one looks just like a calculator, but it's not a calculator. It hides pictures, it can hide files, it can hide other apps that they don't want you to see. Most of them have a password to get into. Actually, Vaulty, that is another one of these apps. It's the Vaulty app. And if someone tries to get into that app and they put the wrong password in, it immediately takes a picture of you. So I would say be aware of those. Google Vault apps, and you will get a huge list of them. And if you want to make sure that they aren't on your kid's phone. And that is, I just gave you a ton of information. And I apologize for that. And I talked really fast, but I wanted to make sure that we had time for questions. And if I can't answer one of your questions tonight, I will get your information and definitely get back to you. So we can open it up for questions.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. This is Nicole. There have been a couple of questions in the chat. And the first one was, since YouTube works via a Google address, does the Michigan Child Registry do anything with YouTube ads?
Not yet. No, we're trying to figure out that would be wonderful. We are trying to figure out how to do that, but YouTube is not making that easy. Yeah, that is unfortunately not working yet. Hopefully though, because I know it's, and you can message people, I believe, through YouTube as well, but that's something we're still messing with.
Okay. And if I recall, and it's been a long time, but it's very difficult to set up parental controls on YouTube as well, correct?
It's not enough. I mean, you can put it on restricted mode. You can block certain websites. What I do for my son who uses YouTube, I go through his history quite a bit and see what he's watching. I feel like that's almost better. The parental controls, they're there, but they're not going to stop everything. I like going back through his history and seeing what he's actually watching, because that really tells me what he's doing.
Okay, that makes sense. I added that part in. And then Ellie has a couple of questions. She wanted to know if Bark Home was an app. And I believe someone put links to both Bark and Circle in the chat, but is it a device and an app like Circle, or is it just an app?
So it's an app, but then it is also the Bark Home is the device that you would attach to your router.
Okay, very good. And Circle works in a similar fashion.
Yep,
correct?
Same thing. Yep. I usually mention that, but yep, same thing. Really good.
Okay, great. And Ellie also asked if since Apple has a difficult time, allowing the Bark Life protection on their phone, do they offer anything that's similar?
So I would Google the iPhone. Like I said before, I would Google iPhone parental controls. They do not have anything on their phone where you as a parent are going to get an email if your child is saying certain words, going to certain websites, listening to maybe music that is completely inappropriate. There is nothing like Bark. There'll be parental controls for an iPhone to maybe stop some of that, but you will not get an email if your kids are talking about something like suicide or drugs or anything like that.
Okay, great.
It's
That's
very
so,
frustrating.
yeah, I was gonna say that is so frustrating to me because I'm kind of a diehard Apple,
I know, and every kid wants
but
an iPhone. I know my son was so mad, and I'm like, no,
now it's like, why do they want an iPhone?
I
Um,
know.
okay, so and then Ellie, Erin actually had this question. Are there dangers to minors with having any of the various cash apps or Venmo, other than the financial risks involved? Do you have any recommendations about that?
Yeah, I would not. I mean, if they have their own account, I would not let them have a Cash App. I mean, at some point you're going to have to, that these cash apps are like everywhere now. But that is what predators use to pay, especially young girls, for pictures. That's how they pay them. So that is just something, but if you can get into their cash app, if you have their information, if you have their password and their username, you can see where money is coming in and going out. So I would, if they're going to have a cash app, if they're going to have anything on their phone, I believe a parent needs to have the username and password for everything.
Okay, I think that's awesome advice. I tell my kid their devices, are mine,
Yeah.
and I get access to them, and that's rule number one with electronic devices. Um,
Yep.
Ellie also asked about Roblox, and if
Yeah.
there's anything, um, you know, similar, to monitor Roblox, or if the registry, has anything to do with that.
The registry does not. And I got to tell you, if you would have asked me this question like years ago, I would have said Roblox is great. Roblox is fine, but it has gotten awful. There's like over 700 games, I think, now on Roblox. And so many of these games are now marketed towards adults. They are definitely adult oriented games. Um, I would, depending on what I would, again, Google Roblox parental controls. There isn't a ton. I think there's like a couple, like making it private, so that nobody can talk to you, that kind of stuff. But the games in general are getting worse and worse. It used to be really marketed towards little kids. My son used to use the Roblox all the time when he was, 6, 7 years old. Now, it really has become like an adult gaming app. So I would just be very careful on what games they're playing.
Okay, and is the same, Carrie asked also about Discord. Is that the same with Discord?
Yeah, Discord, I would not allow my teenager to use. It's definitely more of a adult oriented gaming app. If they really want a gaming app, I do suggest Twitch. It's much more tame, and there aren't all the chat rooms that you can go into and all of that. And then I would just monitor that.
Very good. And Emily wanted to know if you ever do, or are you willing to go into schools and speak with students about some of these dangers, and how to keep themselves safe online?
Yeah, I actually just did that to a student leadership group. I went to a student leadership conference a couple weeks ago. It was my first time talking to kids because I've never really been comfortable, but it actually went really well. They were shocked at the stuff that I know, but I really talked about sexting and sextortion. Like that was the main issue. That was the main topic, and it went great. So I would definitely do it again. I mean, if I talk to them about internet safety stuff, like specifics, they probably know all of that. But in a broader form and what predators are looking for and stuff like that, I would definitely be willing to do that.
I think the information that you brought up with the hashtags
Mm-hmm.
and the groups of three, and in that, those sort of things, and even, if a boy, sends a picture, just don't bother to, send any money, just ignore it. they're not going to come after you. I think those are things that like aren't inherently common sense to
For sure.
teens. I know that like a lot of us adults, if we get some kind of weird message or something, we know to ignore it. But a kid's brain isn't fully developed, and I can see kids getting into a situation where they're like, I did this thing, I know I wasn't supposed to do it, and
Yeah.
like, what do I do now? And I think that's a really important message to keep kids safe.
Yeah, I do too, especially what's happening to our young boys. This is new. We've always focused on young girls as victims, and that really needs to change.
Yes, absolutely. And then Michelle asked, like, if you know how you can tell if the calculator app or any of those other vault type apps are not truly what they claim to be.
You're gonna have to click on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because it looks like a very friendly app. You will have to click on it to know.
Does it search up? So if you like searched for calculator app, is it going to pull up like 2 calculators? Do you know?
That's
Or
a
do
good
you have to
question. I've
go
never
through
tried that.
do you have to scroll through all like 4,000 apps that are on the phone?
Right. You know what? That is a good question. I've never tried that. I don't know. I will have to try that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about that because
Yeah, I know.
if
Because
it
all the apps that are on our phone, you could totally just, I mean, there's
like
so many of these kind that are called different things, but yeah, I don't know. I'll have to try it.
anything else? Well, thank you
And if
so much
no, but
for
if people aren't comfortable asking questions, tonight, please email me or text me. I will always get back to you. And even if I don't know the answer, I will find it. So if you're not comfortable tonight, or if weeks from now you're like, something pops into your head, please contact me. And I do travel around the state and do go to schools or churches, parent groups, and do this training in person or online, whatever, and it is always free.
that segued right into what's going to have to be our last question, and that was from Carrie, and she said she has a membership for moms, and they provide moms with the mindset, motivation, and materials to keep kids safe from harm at the hands of others. And she was wondering if you would be willing to do a Facebook Live with her in that group. And should she just reach out to you with the
Yep,
with
just
contact
email
information?
me. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Erin. This has been so informative. And I appreciate you being able to answer so many questions from our
No
guests.
problem.
So I'm not sure if everyone can see me or not, just because of our settings, but thank you so much for your information tonight, Alicia. And thank you to everyone for investing your time to help keep our students safe from internet dangers. Alicia's contact information, like Nicole was just saying, is on the screen, and we will also include it in our follow-up email that we will send with the link to this Zoom recording. But of course, you can also just Google the Michigan Parent Protection that she was telling us about, and you'll see her information there as well. And we wish you all a good rest of your evening.
Oh, can I say one more
Yes,
thing?
by all means, please.
I always forget. Please follow me on Facebook. It's Protect My Child. I every day am posting if there's a new parental control or a new app out there, or of new ways predators are looking for our kids. I am constantly posting that kind of stuff.
Thank you so much. I was just wondering, like, do they have a social media? So that's wonderful to know. And we'll know that when we see those posts there from you, and now we know you. So with that being said, have a great evening, everyone. Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.